When we look back at history, we're often drawn to those white-knuckle moments, the real close calls.
Oh, yeah. The stories where the world is holding its breath, the big red button is glowing.
Exactly. And there's usually a pattern, right? You think of Stanislav Petrov, the Soviet officer who sees missiles on his screen and just waits. He figures it's a glitch.
Right, or Vasily Arkhipov on that sub during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The system is screaming fire, but the human element, the gut, just says, wait.
Someone hesitates. Someone breaks the chain of command, and that pause saves everyone.
Yeah.
We love those stories. They make us feel like our intuition is the ultimate fail-safe.
But today's deep dive is kind of the darkened version of that.
Yeah, this one's a heavy one. We're looking at a story where that pattern just shatters. Nobody stopped the chain.
No one hesitated. The system worked exactly as it was designed to.
And that's the truly terrifying part, isn't it? The tragedy of Korean Airlines Flight Dover 07 wasn't because something broke.
Not at all. It wasn't a malfunction. The tragedy happened because the system worked perfectly.
That is such a difficult thing to wrap your head around. Usually we're looking for the broken part, the loose screw. But you're saying the efficiency was the problem.
Precisely. We're going to unpack what happened on September 1st, 1983. But the real mission here is to look at the philosophy behind it all. This tension between, human doubt and what we're calling systematic certainty.
Systematic certainty. It sounds like a good thing.
It sounds great, but the logic is that hesitation is a weakness. So you design systems to eliminate doubt. But with Flight 007, we see that when you eliminate doubt, you might also eliminate your only chance to stop a catastrophe.
Okay, so let's set the scene. September 1st, 1983, we've got Korean Airlines Flight 007, a huge Boeing 747. It's flying from New York to Seoul with a stop in Anchorage.
Totally routine flight, just mundane. You have 269 people on board, tourists, families. I think there was even a U.S. congressman on there, just people trying to get some sleep.
And somewhere over the Pacific, this tiny error happens. And I want to get specific because it wasn't dramatic. It came down to a single switch, right?
It did.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that keeps pilots up at night. So the 747 has this inertial navigation system, the INS. It's basically the computer that knows the whole route.
Okay.
But there's a simpler mode called heading.
And what's the difference there?
Well, INS is like telling your GPS, take me to Seoul. It adjusts for everything. Heading is like just locking your steering wheel and saying, keep the car pointed straight. If the road curves, you're going off the road.
And the crew left it in heading mode.
That's the leading theory, yeah. The evidence is pretty strong. They probably set it just after takeoff from Anchorage and just forgot to switch it back to INS.
Just a toggle switch. That's it.
That's it. But over 5 hours, that tiny deviation just grows and grows. They didn't fly wildly off course. They just sort of methodically drifted north.
And they didn't drift into empty space.
No, they drifted into what was maybe the most sensitive, most paranoid airspace on the planet at that moment in time, over the Kamchatka Peninsula. Soviet airspace.
And you really have to understand, 1983, this isn't like today. The Cold War was at its absolute peak.
Powder keg is putting it lightly. Both sides were running massive military exercises right there in the Pacific. And here's the thing that really changes everything. There was another plane out there.
This part blew my mind.
Yeah, earlier that same night, a U.S. Air Force RC-135, which is a spy plane, was in the area monitoring a Soviet missile test. And on a radar screen, an RC-135 and a 747 look almost identical.
So the Soviet operators on the ground, they're not just seeing some random blip, they're already on edge. They're expecting a spy plane.
Exactly. The RC-135 had been there, it flew its pattern, and right as it left the area, KAL-007 drifted in. On their screens, their paths basically crossed.
That is just unbelievably bad luck.
It's the worst coincidence imaginable. To the guys sitting in that dark radar room, they didn't see a lost passenger plane. They saw the American spy plane coming back for another pass.
Which brings us to the logic of the system itself. Because you have to wonder, why didn't they just check? Why not ask, hey, could this be a civilian aircraft?
Because that's not the question the system is designed to ask. These air defense networks, they don't ask why, they don't care about intent, they just ask what?
And the answer was intruder.
Intruder. Threat. Target. It's binary, friend or foe. There's no third category for lost tourist.
So the machine starts to grind. And this is where that mindset you mentioned, indecision kills, really kicks in.
Right. In military thinking back then, speed was everything. If that blip on your screen is a bomber, and you wait 5 minutes to double check, your city could be gone. So the whole system is built for speed.
Doubt is a bug. It's friction.
And the system is designed to be frictionless.
So the chain of events starts middle of the night. The Soviets scramble Su-15 fighter jets.
And the pilot, a Major Osipovich, he catches up to the 747. Now, you have to picture this. It is pitch black out there. He's in this small, fast jet flying right next to this giant passenger plane.
And this is what he tried to signal.
He did. Flashed his lights. He even fired warning shots from his cannon.
So why didn't they react? I mean, if a fighter jet is firing next to me, I'm pretty sure I'd notice.
And this is the devil in the details. His cannons were loaded with armor-piercing shells, not tracer rounds.
Okay, what's the difference?
Tracer rounds have a chemical on the back that ignites. They glow. You see this streak of light in the sky. Armor-piercing shells are just metal. In the pitch-black sky with no tracers, the warning shots were completely invisible.
Oh my God. So the KL pilots literally couldn't see them.
Had no idea. And then at that exact moment, the KL crew does something completely normal. They radio Tokyo air traffic control and ask to climb to a higher altitude to save some fuel.
Standard procedure.
Totally standard. Tokyo approves. So the pilot pulls back on the controls, the plane's nose goes up, and it naturally slows down as it climbs.
But to the fighter pilot watching from behind.
To Osipovich, it looks like an evasive maneuver. He thinks the spy plane is trying to get him to overshoot, to fly right past it.
So the KL pilot is thinking, I'm saving fuel, and the Soviet pilot is thinking, he sees me, he's fighting back.
Precisely. It confirmed his fatal assumption. Every innocent action was seen through this lens of hostility.
And what about the chain of command? Osipovich is talking to the ground, they're talking to generals. Why didn't anyone higher up say, wait, hold on, get a visual confirmation?
That's the phenomenon of deferred responsibility. Everyone assumes someone else knows more. The pilot assumes ground control knows it's a spy plane, that's why they sent him. The ground controller assumes the general knows because he's the one giving the orders.
So it's a circle. No one wants to be the one to question the person above them.
Exactly. Someone else has the full picture. That's the thought that keeps the gears turning. Are you a mid-level operator going to question a general? No. The system punishes that kind of hesitation.
The momentum is just unstoppable.
And we get to the point of no return. The order comes down from the top. Destroy the target.
And there's no Stanislav Petrov moment.
Yeah.
Just silence.
No pause. No lone hero. Osipovich gets a lock. He fires 2 air-to-air missiles.
And the system completes its task.
The missiles hit. The damage is catastrophic. The 747 spirals out of control into the Sea of Japan. All 269 people are gone.
It's just...
Well,
it's devastating. And there's no undo button. You talk about this idea of a reflection loop.
right. Most decisions, we get a second to think, oh, wait, maybe not. But with a system like this, once that missile leaves the rail, it's done. The system acted with total certainty. And it was totally wrong.
And the sun comes up and the world finds out.
And it's just shock, outrage. President Reagan called it a massacre. The Soviets denied it at first, then they tried to claim it was a spy plane.
And eventually all the explanations come out. Navigation error, miscommunication, tired pilots.
And all of those things are technically true, but they're symptoms. They miss the bigger picture. The disease was the system itself.
It's so uncomfortable to admit, but you said it at the top. This wasn't a malfunction.
No. The radar worked, the command structure worked, the interceptor worked, the missile worked. The system was designed to do one thing: find and destroy an intruder without hesitation. And it did its job perfectly.
It successfully eliminated doubt.
And 269 innocent people paid the price for that success.
This just completely breaks that comforting myth we tell ourselves, doesn't it? The Hollywood version.
The myth that someone will always step in, that a person will look at the screen and see the humanity on the other side. We want to believe that protocol will never trump common sense.
But in this case, certainty killed.
Right. We usually get saved by inefficiency, by someone doubting, by someone being slow. Here, efficiency was lethal.
It forces you to completely reevaluate the idea of hesitation. I mean, today, we are obsessed with getting rid of it. We want frictionless experiences, AI that makes instant decisions.
We treat hesitation like a bug, something to be engineered out of the process. But what this deep dive shows is that human friction, that pause, that doubt, it's a safety mechanism. It's the brakes on the car.
You don't want the brakes on all the time, but you really want them to work when you're headed for a cliff.
And when you design a system that removes the possibility of human doubt, you are essentially cutting the brake lines. You'll go faster, for sure, but you have no way to stop.
It's just such a stark warning. There's no hero in this story.
There's only the machinery, grinding forward.
And as we move into a world with autonomous weapons and AI making high-stakes choices, we're building systems that are so much faster, so much more certain, than anything they had in 1983.
And we're teaching them the same logic: optimize for speed, eliminate the human bottleneck.
So as we wrap this up, we're left with this heavy truth. 269 people died because the system worked too well.
It did its job.
It did its job. And that leads to the really big question, something I want you, our listener, to just sit with for a moment.
We're always striving for efficiency, right? For certainty. But we have to ask the one question that no system ever wants to answer.
What happens when hesitation disappears entirely?
If we actually succeed in building a world without doubt, what if we really lost in the process?
That is a terrifying thought to end on. We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Until then, maybe just take a moment to appreciate the next time you feel a little bit of doubt.
It might be the most human thing you do all day. Take care.